Hello fellow crafters, this is Jane Fires, independent coach with Fun Stamper's Journey, and today we're going to do a happy birthday card. Now I've done the card two different ways. This one shows one way with our happy birthday. Another one is this one where I put Merry Christmas, but I'm still going to change the words up some. But let me show you what we used. One of the products that we used was this particular stamp set, and it's one of our new ones. It has our new logo, and it's called Build a Wreath. I'll turn it over and you can see the stamps that are in it. And out of this set, the one that we're going to use is this one right here. And we're going to use this to make our little wreath. Another one that we're going to use today is the Happy Birthday. And we're making an actual Happy Birthday stamp. These are all the other stamps, so you can see you can do a whole bunch of candles. There's a lot of things you can do with this one, and the card that the stamp we're using for this one is this one here. Now with this stamp set, there is a die. And so what I do when I want to find which die goes with what set of words is I take the dies and I put them on the words. And if it fits, I know that's the die. So in this particular set that goes with our candles, there's 5 dies, and this is the one that we're using today. And then inside and out, I love this stamp set, and the reason I do is because you can use it for anything. Graduation, sympathy, happy birthday, thanks, thinking of you. And today we're going to use the happy birthday one that says, wishing you a day full of joy and a year filled with smiles. So we're going to use that one today also out of this set. And then the other thing we're using today is our square die. It is a set of 10 dies. It not only cuts, but it also will pierce. And I've already cut one. And what I did, this is the largest square die in our packet. And then, as you can see with all the corners, I used our brand new corner notch punch, and I just simply did all of my corners so that all my corners are already rounded. So we have that all ready to go. The cardstock that we're using today is whipped cream, Limeade Splash, and Fresh Forest. The other thing that we're using today is our Cozy Knit embossing folder. And as you can see here, I've already done mine so that we're ready to go on that. But I love this little embossing folder. It is brand new. It is in our holiday mini catalog, and I've used it for just all kinds of things. When I do them, I try and do several in different colors. So here is one I did in blue. This one I did in the forest green, and this one I did in the Limeade Splash. And then what I do is I simply put them with my embossing folder, and I put them in one of our little pouches, our little pockets that we have. All right, let's begin. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to do is take my piece of cardstock, which measures 4 1/4 by 11, and I'm going to score it using our new scoreboard at 5 1/2. Remember, one of the advantages of our scoreboard is that not only can you use it to score, but because of our pull-out at the bottom, which is stored here on the back, you can also do envelopes and boxes. And then when you're done with your score blade, all you have to do is push it back in. One of the things that's nice about our score tool itself is that unlike a lot of the score tools, there is no sharp edges to it. So it's much harder, very honestly, to cut through your paper or your cardstock. And with some of the other tools, you're very easily to do that. So with ours, you're not. And because our cardstock is heavy, I usually crease or score it 2 times. Then I just stick that back in there and I can lay my scoreboard aside. Then what I do is I fold it one way and then I fold it the other way and make sure that I have it exactly where I want it. I'm going to lay that aside now because the square that I had showed you earlier, I want to make sure I know right where the center is. And so one of the ways that I do that is I line it up on my scoreboard and I know that I have a 3-inch square 3.5, I'm sorry, 3.5 inch square. So my middle point is going to be 1 3/4. So I take my ruler, and as you can see, it's our Journey, Fun Stampers Journey ruler. I lay it down at 3/4 so that I know that I'm right on at my 3/4 mark. Then what I do is I come down here and I find my 3/4, and I can go across and I can mark the center of my card. So now I know that as I start to stamp, I want everything to come to this point right here. When I'm done stamping, I can erase that. So I just use a pencil because then it's easy to erase. But that's one of the ways I use our new steel ruler, because I can find the center that way of anything that's square or rectangle. So let's set those things aside. And now we're going to stamp. I'm taking this particular little leaf set, is the one that I wanted, and it came off, of course, Build-A-Wreath, which has all these different things. We're going to also use the bow today, but right now this is the one that we're using. And I'm going to take Limeade Splash ink. And remember, our inks are what they call True Fusion, and that means that they're a combo of pigment and of dye. I've inked my stamp up, so now what I like to do is I'm going to put the bottom of my stamp right where my center is and stamp down. Now I'm going to do this in 3 other places. I'm doing the best I can at trying to make like a little triangle shape. So there's my 3rd one. Now I'm going to go back and put one more of my Limeade in between each of these. And by going back to my center each time, it's much easier. So there is the Limeade color. So now I can cover that one up, but I need to wipe my stamp off, because now I'm going to go to Kiwi Slice. And Kiwi Slice is a little darker green than what Limeade is. And so now I'm going to fill my wreath in with Kiwi. So now I'm going to basically do the same thing, and I'm going to go in between each of my Limeade ones the best I can, so that when I'm done, you're going to see both colors of leaves. And when you start filling in with your darker color, very honestly, your center pencil mark that you've made is hard to see. So now there is my wreath with my 2 colors of my leaves. So my basic wreath is finished. So now what I need to do is to make my bow. So I'm going to take my bow stamp, and with the bow that I made, and I've already made us a bow, and the reason that I have is because, as you can see with my bow, it's shiny. So I've glazed it, and so you'll want to do that. I do, in this case, I did it ahead of time, so I'm ready to put it on. But what I did is I simply took my ribbon, my bow stamp, inked it up, and this time I used rock candy because it's not quite as dark. I stamped it on my white whipped cream cardstock, and then what I did is I colored mine. Now you can use anything to color it. I used my colored pencils. I used my bubble gum and my candy apple in the red. And how I blended it was with baby oil. Our colored pencils are oil-based, and so I use baby oil to blend them. And I use one of our paper stumps to do that. So I've got this already done. So now what I'm ready to do is to take a foam square, and I'm using our medium size because I can cut these any way I want them. And I'm going to put them on my bow. And I'm taking one that I've cut in half, and I'm going to quarter it. And so there's my bow now in the center of my wreath. Now I think around the edges I want to do a little color, so I'm going to use my Fresh Forest because it's a little darker. And simply what I do is I simply take my ink pad and run it against the edges of my cardstock here. Now you could, if you wanted to, you could use a sponge to do this also, but I just find it's much easier and quicker to use your ink pad, and it doesn't hurt your ink pad at all. So that's ready to go. So now the last thing that we need to do are our words. And today our words are happy birthday, and I'm going to do these in candy apple, just to give us a little bit of variety in color. Okay. And now with happy birthday, we're going to put the steel rule or the rule die on it, and we're going to run it through our Platinum 6 machine. So bring my machine in, open it up. And remember, the advantage of the Platinum 6 is that you do not have magnets in your big bottom plate, which is nice if you have a pacemaker. So line up my die on my words, put its cover on, and run it through. Slide my machine out of the way. And here you can see we have our words. So now let's put our card together. So first thing I'm going to do is put on my Cozy Knit one, embossing one. And what I do with anything that I emboss like this, that I dry emboss, I use our white liner tape because I know it's going to hold, and because there is texture to all of your embossing folders. So I just use tape because then I know that I have it down tight. Take my bloom tool, go over the edge of all my tape so that they hold good. It also, of course, helps me with the point of my bloom tool to get my backings off. And then center my Cozy Knit onto my card front. Then on top of this, I'm going to put our wreath that we built. And again, because I'm going to apply this, and it's a fairly good sized piece, I'm going to apply it with our tape. Now the other thing you could put this down with would be our glue, but the tape is a little bit quicker, so I'm using the tape. Now if you wanted to adjust it, then you would want to use the glue, because our craft glue gives you a few seconds to make your adjustments. Okay, turn it over and apply it at the top of my card. Now my happy birthday is going to go down at the bottom. And so my happy birthday, I'm going to raise it up just like I raised up my my bow. So I'm going to take some of my foam squares that I have cut in half and position them where I want them on the back. Take off my backs. and place this on the front of my card. So there's the front of our happy birthday card. And I don't know about you, but I have several people that have birthdays in December, and so guess what? Happy birthday. Now on the inside, I have cut a piece of white that is just a quarter inch, an eighth of an inch, so it's a quarter inch on each end smaller. And so what I want to do with that one is I'm going to stamp it with our leaves in Limeade. And when I stamp my insides, I always like to come off my card, the card base itself a little bit. So there's my inside, and then my happy birthday with my wishing you a day filled with joy, a year filled with smiles. I'm going to ink it up in forest green, so it's darker than my leaves. Put it in here. And then, the last thing that I'm going to do is to go ahead and to round my corners. Now when I do this, I like to do my stamping first and then round my corners. So there are all my corners rounded now. So now I can put this on the inside of my card. And again, I'm using our tape. And there's the inside of my card. So the front side looks like this. I've made my wreath. Happy birthday. Here are the other two that I changed up just a little bit using the same wreath stamp set, but then adding Merry Christmas on this one, Happy Birthday on this one. And on both of these you can see that I did the knit one in red. This one, of course, I've done in the green. So there they are. Build-A-Wreath stamp set is very versatile. You can use it for a lot of different things. And of course you could always change the color of your bow in that if you wanted to do it a different time of the year. But because I have birthdays in December and because of Christmas being in December, I did this one this way. I will be back with another video using the Build-A-Wreath because it's a lot of fun, but it will be doing a Build-A-Wreath in a different way. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. You can email me at Serif, my last name backwards, serif1@aol.com. My website is www.funstampersjourney.com/angelhugs. If you have any questions, please let me know. Have a great and blessed day.